We are something else.
All right. Welcome to We Are Something Else, episode 186, the Hillbillies. And we are here. We are here. We are here. It's your boy Kaleo. There's CB. There's E Rich. And there is SupaFly TNT. What's good, bro? Hold on. A lot of things have changed since last time. Hold on. There we go. Welcome back, SupaFly. Welcome back. Good to see you, bro.
Yes, sir. Happy to be back, man. Good to see y'all, fellas. Hey, can I say something real quick, man? I was looking at those photos, Joe. And I hate to say it, especially on my end, it's a lot more grays popping than they used to be, man. Salute to the grays out there. Let's go.
Yes, I noticed CB's beard. Like CB had that Dan vibe going on. Remember Dancing Dan? Like CB, that was a full-grown man quarantine beard. Shout out to CB. Yo, I keep that. Look, I keep that the original intro for whenever SupaFly returns, and we can run the intro. Sean and Xavier was up. We can run that intro and include SupaFly. So, and if y'all don't know. If y'all never seen SupaFly before, you may have heard his name before. When we started the podcast, we recorded at SupaFly's house. We were just audio. SupaFly gave us his studio every Sunday night for a while, and it was Tuesdays, and I think it switched to Thursdays a little bit. And we were consistent week after week after week, man. And that mean, look, everything was manifested. Everything fell in line, right in place. Me and CB wanted to do a podcast. SupaFly was looking to get into producing. He had the materials, and boom, we are something else.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. And this is the space. You can see it on YouTube. Like, this is where we recorded and where it all started.
Bro.
And yeah, man, everyone's come such a long way, man. Like, I'm really proud of y'all and just happy to be here.
I'm look proud of you, bro. Because SupaFly went on to produce. He's starting to produce podcasts and be behind the scenes and do all of that. So how's things going with that, SupaFly?
Yeah, things are going well, man. We just wrapped up the season 7 of the self-love podcast with Matt and Seth Jones and Tennille Daniels. I'm not sure what season we're on with Tennille's show, Overreaction. It might be season 3, but you know, it's just to say season 7, like I think I started really helping them, you know, probably like halfway through that. So it's at least been like, you know, 4 or 5 seasons that I've been working with them too. So,
right.
You know, and I started with them like around the same time I was kind of transitioning from being on this show regularly, you know, and things have taken off in a myriad of different ways, man. So no, I'm you know, super blessed, man.
Absolutely. CB, what's good with you, bro?
I mean, we're finally here. It's been a weird work week. Just, you know, it's like the week where you're working, but it doesn't feel like anything's actually happening. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? But yeah, looking forward to this show, obviously, and it's been a fun last week or so, just getting time hanging out with the fam, and then obviously yesterday we had our sneaker show with the boys. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's been good times recently, and looking forward to ending the year on a high note.
Absolutely. E Rich was good.
Just happy to be here. Cleo got mad at me earlier this morning because I sent him my top 5, but it was not the top 5 that he was he was asking for.
Bro, trust me, CB heard about that. CB heard about that.
I mean, listen,
what's good? Anissa, what's good? Ren, I see you. Bianca, appreciate you.
Listen, I had to represent for the R&B because, you know, I think I'd be the only one on here that got like an R&B on the top 5. But, you know, hey, listen, it was some good music out. So I was just like, listen, if no particular order, I sent my list. But nonetheless, we here. I'm interested to see how the chat reacts to the top 5. I think I know how we're gonna react, but the chat is gonna be the real.
Absolutely. So, yeah, for those who join us, this is the last show of the year. We hyped this show up all year long because one, we are sneakerheads, which we handled that last night. We handled business. If you don't know what our top 5 sneakers were, That's what the Soul Tales crew. That's me, CB, E Rich, R Money Bags, Be Easy, and regular old guy Cardo. We did our top 5 last night. Dope show. Got into a couple of we got into a versus battle, Charles Barkley versus Penny Hardaway. Those colorways, their sneakers. But tonight it's music. And then we are on hiatus for a couple weeks. But before we do that, I'm going to attempt, because I couldn't get the video. I'm going to attempt to we're going to do watch this video on Dr. Umar, have a quick conversation before we jump into this this top 5 list. So I believe it goes like this, and then it's going to go like this, and then we're going to go like that, and we're going to hit play.
You don't think Eminem is one of the best rappers of all time?
According to who?
You, rap fans.
Let me say something to you. And this is going to my African fundamentalism. No non-African can ever be the best of anything African. It is an insult to the ancestors. It is an insult to the race. And it is an insult to every black person. Do you think I could go to Palestine and be the best anything of Palestinian culture? You never see that. You think I could go to Israel and be the best of anything in Israel, whether it be a cook, an instrumentalist, a dancer? Hell no. And we have to
Okay.
stop naming non-African people, Joe.
But I disagree.
We got to stop naming non-African people as being the best of any aspect of our cultural product.
Joe, I think you
because
can.
it is an insult.
You can.
It is an insult.
We can acknowledge that the talent is the
Yes, I can acknowledge Eminem's title.
We should.
But let me tell you.
For you to put him at the top,
Let me ask you this.
that's white supremacy.
Let me tell you this.
That's white supremacy.
What's white culture?
I don't see Eminem building those schools and hospitals.
We gotta
I don't
stop
see
inviting
DJ
people to the
Khaled
cookout.
building those schools and hospitals.
What's the white
I don't see DJ Vlad building no damn bets in supermarkets.
Yo, I'm asking you.
Hell no.
All right. Enough of that. All right, fellas. So that was Dr. Umar. A lot of people are familiar with him. He was on the Joe Budden podcast, and that was his reaction on what he had to say when asked about if Eminem was the greatest rapper of all time. Thoughts? Superfly.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad you started with me. All right, man. Like, I can only take Dr. Umar so seriously, man. Like, I think a lot. I'm sure he feels convicted and how he feels, but there's some stuff that's just like inarguable. And I'm not trying to argue that Eminem is the best. He's not my number one rapper, but it's obvious, like, he's one of the best to ever do it. There's no other. When you heard those records for the first time, we had never heard anything that sounded like that and rapped at that level. I think it's just a fact, like, that the dude is one of the best to ever do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be in the conversation that he's in, man. Like, what did Jay say? M Pimp Juice and Us, like it was stamped. He's been stamped for 25 years at this point. So I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a lot of people's favorite rapper is saying, who's probably one of the current greats, is giving him his props of what he did in the rap game. CB, thoughts?
I'm sure Umar isn't, alone in his sentiments and everything, but I'd find it hard to believe if he was anywhere close to like a majority, like Superfly said. I think that a lot of people do respect M as an artist and an ally. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like he's like, at least in this game, he's in the conversation. Same as Superfly. He's not my GOAT, but he's definitely in the conversation. And I think that, at least for me, that was like the period of time where I was growing up where, I'm in my own, like, pre-teens, getting into the teenage years, and hearing those Eminem albums, like, grew you up a little bit real quick. So Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with him, but I can respect the passion that he has because you can hear the conviction in his voice.
Britt B, welcome to the room. E Rich.
All right, so we'll keep this real short because this definitely could this could get out of hand on the wrong way. Welcome back, SupaFly. First of all, Joe worded the question to get that type of response out of Dr. Umar, right? That's what that was. You listen to the question, but then it was rephrased in while he was going on his rant. He said, I think he's nice. I think he's skillful. You know what I'm saying? But he's not, you can't say that he's the best at something for, if you say what we created, if you will. It, like I said, I think sometimes he makes points if you don't listen to all the screaming. It gets out of context, and when he goes like a certain way with it. But Joe started that whole thing off with the way that the line of the question started. He knew what he was doing. Clearly, that whole episode is lined for him to have those type of reactions, and that's exactly what it was. So, not gonna speak more onto it because that's about where it stands with me. Because that's all it was just somebody who screams and can't debate or have a conscious thought without having to over talk people. Just it doesn't do it for me. So it's like whatever.
Right. So when you hear that kind of like when you hear his response and how elevated and how angry he was in his response, you can't really take all that serious. Like you know what Umar brings, the kind of banter that surrounds him, right? And to constantly play the race card in situations when you don't need to play the race card, it makes him look foolish at times, right? This is my opinion. Makes him look foolish because you want to say the white man, or Eminem's a white man, so he can never be the top of a game that he didn't invent. But we've done that before, right? And we've claimed Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. We've claimed them as taking over sports, right? And
I think basketball was created by like a Canadian dude.
Exactly. So we've taken over things as well, and we want the same acceptance and we've been accepted from that. I mean, come on now, by the other half or other races. So this guy just wants to pigeonhole, lock us into a bracket where it's just us all the time, and that can't be. And for a while, Eminem was probably one of the greatest rappers that was out there. Eminem had a run. No one say Eminem's the greatest now, but he had a run long enough to where he can be on the mountain. He could be up there.
Mount Rushmore.
He could be up there on Rushmore. He had a run. He was backed by Dre. Eminem, if you look at Eminem's records, his first 4 like number one hits, up until a couple months ago, Eminem had the most all-selling hip-hop record of all time before Outkast took him out. So that argument is that's all in Umar's head.
It's a logical fallacy what he said and the way he framed it, I think, is the issue. I know what he's trying to say. However, the way what came out is is false, objectively false. You know what I'm saying? There's no other argument that you can make,
Right.
And and to go deeper into the conversation of what that is and what we've talked about before, back when SupaFly was on the show, when it was, we're the only culture that pins each other and says, who's the best? Who's the best? Nobody in country music is sitting there saying, oh, Garth Brooks is not the best. And they're having a battle of who's the best. Dolly Parton is at least 130 years old. And she's still, you know what I mean? Considered a certain way. We're the only culture that says that if you are the best, and then when you get older, we throw you away, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we have this where we love to pin each other against each other and not just celebrate what and you can see the culture trying to do it where it becomes we're all just here trying to get a part of the flowers that you have created for your work, right? But that question is what makes hip hop most controversial at the end of the day, because Sean's stupid. Because again, we are the only one that do like nobody else is doing that, bro. Nobody else is sitting there saying like who's the best country singer back after like Garth Brooks, like who's battling Garth Brooks at the end of the day. Nobody.
Because that's what we do. We draw a fine line and tell people they have to pick Jordan or LeBron. That's the fine line we draw. Nobody's saying putting Steve Nash against Mark Price and saying pick a point guard. Is it Mark Price or Steve Nash? You got to pick one. No, that's what we do. Our competitive nature is just so crazy that it just happens out that way. I agree with you, Bianca. You got to be able to reinvent, entertain. And I'm gonna be honest, like so Eminem on wax on records where it matters, he was untouchable for a while. His live performances, they definitely are boring. Especially as he's gotten older. When he was younger and probably drinking and pilled up a little bit more, it's probably a little bit more exciting. That Up in Smoke tour, Eminem was very entertaining. But as he got older and you stop doing some of the things you do, I mean, at this point, he's not chasing to be a GOAT anymore. He's actually trying to reinvent the style that he raps. He's trying to do different things. And it is what it is. Okay. But that was the only topic I had just to talk about something before we dive into these albums. So I have, let me see, let's set this up. Set this room up. How are we going to do this tonight? Boom. Okay. All right. So you are here. The Hillbillies, episode 186. So we're coming up on 200. So SupaFly, make sure you got your calendar marked down for episode 200 to come back and co-host that with us. So here we go. This is what's going to happen. As we did last night, and as we do every year, boom, we're going to go round for round. Actually, hold on, no. Let's not get there because I forgot. SupaFly has a list. SupaFly is also a DJ, and he came up with his top 10. You did top 10 songs of the year, right?
Yep, I did 15, but we'll do 5 honorable mentions, and I'll try to run through them quick. But yeah, I did a top 10 songs, and like the story behind it, like Kaleo, approached me. He's like, hey, I want you back on the show for the top 5. And I was like, man, I haven't really been listening to albums like that. And I bet you that's a running theme this year. It was hard to pick albums. It's becoming harder year after year, actually. But I started out picking songs, and then once I got into it, then I actually did come up with 3. And then I was just like, I got 2 more to put in there. So yeah, we got it.
Okay, so go ahead and do your songs, do your honorable mentions, and then go ahead and run your list of songs.
All right, so quick honorable mention and just a little backstory on some of these. Like some things work, are songs that work in a party. Some things are like things I like personally like listening to in my off time, and I just want to put y'all on to some stuff. And other things are just like undeniable, So like starting out just with my 5 honorable mentions. Some joints to put you on to a gentleman named Eddie Chacon. I think it's on the Stone's Throw label. He has a track called Comes and Goes, featuring Logan Hone. It's a joint. It's a very like vibey, put that on and light some candles and just, chill out and clean the house type joint. In my Brazilian bag a little bit, there's a gentleman named Gabriel De Rosa. Hope I said that correctly, with a joint called Cachaça, and also another one called Idiosyncrasia. So if you're into the Brazilian joints, definitely some joints to vibe out too. Locally, there was a dude named Primo Rice on the hip hop tip. Primo Rice, he's dude from here, but I got to put on to him because I started watching all these Memphis juking videos this year. And if you catch any of those dudes like jamming to joints, like you're gonna catch like 1 or 2 joints that be going. So the Primo Rice, he got a joint called On My Arm featuring King Joe and AJ. That's a banger. I love that joint. DJ Muggs put out a crazy album this year as well. He's got a joint with Ghostface Killer and West Side Gun called Sicilian Gold. That's crazy. I really rock with that record. Play it all the time. Lastly, I got to go with somebody who's always in the music conversation, and that's the Canadian Drake. On his I guess I don't know what do you call that thing, that EP that came out, an attachment to his album.
The Scary Hours.
The Scary Hours, you know. The joint on there. Gosh, I lost my list now. Red Button. That's the joint. That's probably my favorite out of those. That set of records, but it was a strong, and I'll get further into it later. But that's the honorable mentions there. Next up, so this is like the top 10 songs for me. There's a producer and bassist by the name of Cartoons, an independent artist. That's Carrtoons. Crazy talented and crazy joints. Like every single song I feel like he puts out is a banger. The joint I really love that he put out this year is called "Fool for You." Crazy. The next one is on the R&B tip, Marley Blue featuring Pink Sweats, a joint called "Unintentional." So R&B smoothed out joint. Next up, I have this is right down Kaleo's lane, Bass and J. Cole with the Passport Bros. That was a joint that like this next like 4 records are joints that I, as a DJ, I was just playing nonstop this year. Like just because they got that like 114 BPM, like Afrobeat type vibe that everybody just gonna go, you know what I'm saying, get on the dance floor on. So that Passport Bros was fire. Coming up strong behind that is the J Hush record featuring Drake. Who Told You? You know, y'all know that. I'm sure if you went out to a party this year, you definitely heard that record. Followed up behind that, Kate Tremine, Pharrell with Forever. Again, that same vibe, but those joints were like just really strong records. And then lastly, Home Team IDK featuring Juicy Fruit and Saucy Santana on the Pinot Noir joint. Crazy. Okay. And now this next I'm gonna call top 4. These are like the 4 I think just best records, that I heard this year. Next up is Russ with Perfectionist, produced by Knife Wonder. Like straight like stream of consciousness, like no hook, just straight rap, straight bars in that joint. This is a strong record, and what he's talking about, mental health, and the subject matter is just really crazy. Number 3, and I said this on the Love Madden podcast, it's just a song that just like has just been in the last month or so just running everything right now, is Jack Harlow, Loving on Me. Like,
bro,
I'm a sucker for
it has grown on me. I didn't like it at first. I'm like, what is, and then it's so catchy.
Yo, I'm a sucker for a pop record that's like you're gonna be playing for like the next 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And he did it. Like it's hard to do that, but that Loving on Me is a joint that we're it's like this is how we do it. We gonna be, or like 24 Karat
USA.
Like it's just a record you're gonna hear for the rest of your life. Like that's just what it is. All right. So next up, last 2. This next song I think is one of the best R&B songs that we've heard this century. All right.
Okay. It's a strong statement.
SZA, Snooze.
Oh yeah, man. Snooze is
what else can you say? And Terrace Martin did a crazy cover of that joint. Shout out to Terrace on the West Side, E Rich. You know what I'm saying? Like that Snooze record is just, if you, like I said, it'll go up against, like I said, one of the best R&B records that I've heard in the last 25, 23 years that we've been, in the 2000s. So lastly, sticking with the West Side, No Worries, Daydreaming.
Oh, come on now. Yeah,
that's my favorite song of this year. I probably will never get tired of playing that song. I play it
that's got
all the time.
Influences in that song.
I can't wait till they put out their next album. Like that joint just got me so psyched. I only put out 2 songs in the last like 2 years, but that record, I love it, man. So
okay. Dope. All right. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna bounce back to SupaFly in a second, because I'm getting ready to go into the top 5, and I realize we got other little small things to handle before we get there. So we talked about producers of the year, right? Right. All this music that came out. I mean, I told you I listened to over 40 albums this year, and producers. So I don't have the graphics. I couldn't get to the graphics for this, but we're just going to talk about it. We're going to go around and talk about these producers. My producer of the year, and it's tough because there's some dope albums that came out, and there's a lot of people who put in work. I'm going to tell you real quick the 2 producers I did not pick because I thought it was a fight But the two producers I did not pick. I did not pick Static Selector, and I should have. He had a lot of Static Selector was busy this year, and I could easily pick him. And I did not pick Alchemist. Hit Boy is my producer of the year. Dude's been busy. He's talking about like at least 8 projects within this year, and they all have at least 4 songs. Except the last one. I'm not gonna tell you, y'all, if y'all look at it, y'all know what the last one was. At least 4 songs on the other ones that I can get with. I understand. I had to reach out to the West Coast to figure out what this last project was all about. I get it.
You're gonna make Dr. Umar upset.
But Hit Boy is my producer of the year.
There you go.
Dope resume. CB, producer of the year.
Well, you kicked him out, so I'll bring him back in because mine's Alchemist. Because if you guys see how my list ends up breaking out, like it's just gonna be obvious. I listen, and I mean, not even just the stuff that he put out this year, but because of the stuff that I liked from him this year, it made me go back and listen to, like Alfredo and like just other projects that he's done that it's like, damn, yeah, this dude really just gets after it. And then I end up going down like the YouTube rabbit hole. I'm watching videos of him talking like with Freddie about how they put songs together, and him and I can't remember who it was, but he accompanied one of the dudes that was on The Cave, the YouTube channel that that other producer that I can't remember, Kenny Beats, the Kenny Beats show that he does. Like, and he was on there, and Kenny's like, bro, I feel weird having you here, man, because the Alchemist, like he's been doing it for a long time. And at least for me, this was his year.
And he does the vinyl shopping. He goes record hopping, which is dope. You can't go wrong with Alchemist.
And his type of production, is not historically what is like my favorite, but there's been so much of it this year that it's changed my, just my view on a lot of it. So I'm giving that credit.
It's Hit Boy. I mean, is there some West Coast bias? Yes. Damn right there is, because a lot of times that's not like I said, outside of Mustard, right? You know what I'm saying? Who had a run on the West Coast, right? But slowly behind the scenes, and not even behind the scenes, but for the people who really like actually dig in crates or look at who produces music, Hit Boy has just been consistent for a very long time. I'm with it because indeed, if a producer can, I mean, listen, to produce tracks or just like an album with Nas and then turn around and be like, I'm about to just do this album with Music Soul Child. Like, the fact of the matter is, right, you have to have such a unique and eclectic kind of sound, right? And just the fact that you don't sound like one thing, right? Like he's able to really pivot. He's able to do certain things. And if you don't really listen, you can listen to it and be like, you didn't even know that was a Hit Boy track. Like when you hear,
I was going to say the same thing.
That Rhapsody track, can't even tell.
He doesn't have a signature sound or style,
Nothing. And I think, like I said, for the West, it's something that was needed. It's something that needs to be talked about a lot more. I think a lot of times it's an automatic. It's the East Coast. It's a down south. Hit Boy doesn't get enough acclaim just because I think a lot of times they view it as, like he's only done a couple of tracks when you talk about, but then when he did the Nas projects and you look at it in that sense alone, the legendary shit that we'll be talking about years from now, as far as where Hit Boy was and how old he was, right, and how old Nas was.
Right. His resume is just impeccable. Outside of this year alone, he just had a major year this year, but that resume speaks for itself.
Does he have a Jay-Z record?
He did Watch the Throne.
All right, yeah. So enough. So he's done everybody. Kendrick, like,
yeah. Niggas in Paris is his.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, the resume is great. Like I said, for me, like I was actually outside of like the Nas, situation. Once I heard that even Music Soul Child, and if you've seen interviews with him, you realize how serious he is about his music. Nobody is just like out there working with music if he's not really engaged into that situation. And anybody can listen to music and realize like he's a singer, right? He puts his artwork on a pedestal. When I heard it, I was like, none of this is gonna go commercial, but it's all flawless. It matches music sound to the T. And I'm like, as a producer, not just one track, not just two tracks, but you're talking about a whole project, and you can go through the whole project and there's nothing that sounds off. I mean, that's where it's at.
SupaFly, producer of the year.
So I knew y'all was gonna say Hit Boy, and I truthfully I was gonna say Hit Boy. So I had to go left real quick, and it's really part of it's recency bias, but I gotta say Mike Dean from the Tiny Desk, like the Scarface Tiny Desk, and really showcased, if you watch that, how well of a, like, not just an instrumentalist but a producer he is, and how prolific he was over the Rapper Lot years, and then taking off to doing all the Kanye stuff, and wherever else he is. Like, if you go to his Instagram, he's on another planet or another galaxy with the synths, and like, he's just mean with it. So I gotta say Mike Dean, salute.
Okay. All right. While we got you right here, go ahead and tell everybody that the verse of the year. Get that out the way, and
little evil laugh here. But all right, so my verse of the year, and I'll just say, like, for me, it's about like memorability, and I have not heard a verse or maybe even opening line this clear and to the point than Sexy Red Pound Town. I'm out here. What is it? Going down. Where am I around? Like, I don't even gotta say the rest of it. As soon as you open it, as soon as I say it, everybody knows it. All three of y'all know it. Everybody in the chat know it. That's a mark of a great verse. And tell me if has anybody else heard a verse when's the last time you heard a verse that memorable?
I don't know.
Pound Town, yo. Verse of the year. That's the state. That's 2023. Right.
That's the state of where we are right now.
It just is, man.
And so, in your Dr. Umar logic, I understand why you say that. I get it. I understand. That's where that's where the culture is right now. And it's sad to say that's where music is right now. And that song, when we were on AMP, that song was all over the damn place.
I'm out here in Miami. That song rings off, and it's a particular crowd that loves it. I can't play it everywhere, but that is the most like laser focused like verse, most memorable. That thing I've heard all year was that.
All right.
While we were on AMP, like the number of rants that Kaleo went on because of that song, man.
I named everything that was better than Pound Town. I was like, damn, this song is better. All right. My verse of the year. So there was a couple. I picked one, but obviously the Dre 3000 verse for, was that Scientists and Engineers? That verse. And when Dre talked about he didn't have any music left in him, so he put out a flute album. I'm like, but you just dropped a verse that I had put in contender for verse of the year. Okay. I want to give Jid knowledge for the verse he dropped on the West Side Gun project. That verse, I remember him, that sneak peek of that verse dropping on Instagram when they were running it back. And I was like, yo, that verse, Be Easy was good. That verse is dope. But unfortunately, this is the year Cole decided he wanted to go on another feature run and keep me twisted to figure out which verse I liked out of all of them. So I had it made up until now. So, anyways, now I'm gonna go with Secret Recipe.
Cleo made a top 5 of
No. I'm
J.
gonna go
Cole
with Secret
verses.
Recipe. That Secret Recipe verse, you could take Yachty off, and you could just have Cole's verse for a quick minute-long song and be dope. Before that, it was really between that and On the Streets with the J-Hope record, the K-pop record that he did earlier this year, because it was a very fun, influential record, and he spit bars on that. Still talking about his GOAT status. So, all right, CB, verse of the year.
We're gonna do an honorable mention first because I can't go without mentioning, because this song wasn't as good, so I couldn't really put it in contention because the song wasn't going to have the same impact. But Wayne's verse on Big Dog, the Benny the Butcher joint, y'all know that Wayne is my personal GOAT. So when he comes out with a verse like that makes me go back and be like, yo, this is like, it's like the mid 2000s all over again. I had to at least bring it up. But my verse of the year, just in terms of what I thought had the most impact, was J. Cole on First Person Shooter. It was one of those things where you don't get 2 of the top 3 generally talked about guys in that sport, like on a song, much less a few of them this year. But on First Person Shooter, Cole really he bodied Drake on there. Like he took that one over. And I didn't think Drake's verses or anything were like slouches by any means, but for me it was Cole on that one.
Hey, Rich.
So I got a 1A, 1B. 1A, of course, is the Cole feature on Lil Yachty's song. But my 1B, and CB would be proud of this one, doesn't get that much hype because of the song and the other 2 artists that was on there. I don't think anybody listened to the album, so I mean, call it what it is, right? But these diamonds be talking in they sleep. You know not to test me like SATs. They pay me like Riri ASAP. Hotter than AZ, cool as AC. You know my diamonds gonna sing like Do Re Mi. But this fool goes on and says, yo, got a bunch of zeros like a bag of new Funyuns. None other than Wayne. That verse you can listen to and you gotta be like, what? Yeah. Anytime you gotta go like, what did he just say?
Even him was like, I'm mad I didn't come up with that Funyuns line.
Bro. It's because we talk about the lyrical part of Wayne. We talk about what, like, still to this day. And you talking about that's a feature on a YG and a what's the other guy that was on there? I don't even know. Yeah, that other dude. But listen, like Wayne still has that ability to construct the verse that's gonna make you be like, damn. And if you can still say damn after all these years that he's been putting out music, and we're not talking about like slouching, we just had a conversation, and I know this might get Cleo up and up SupaFly. You might hear Cleo go off when I'm about to say this.
There you go. Sean Xavier said it.
Yeah, I told him, I said that might not be the verse of the year, but the line of the year for sure was the Dryer Sheets. But listen, we talked about older rappers or rappers that have been in the game for a while now, trying to be a part of what's going on today or the certain type of beats. The Busta Rhymes project was kind of like what we talked about. It doesn't hit because it's the old rhyme, or even him trying to kind of engage into a new rap style that doesn't fit who he is, right? Like it just doesn't work. Wayne still does what he does, and he doesn't try to alter anything what he is about. And it just comes, when it comes down to it, I'm just gonna rap on this shit, and it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be a one take. I ain't gonna write the shit down. The fact that he still don't write the shit is crazy to me. So, but it had to be. I think it deserved a 1B. I think a lot of people slept on that verse.
Bah.
All right, let's get into it. The main event. Here is the top 5 albums of the year. SupaFly, number 5. What do you have?
All right, I might be cheating a little bit, but I gotta say, man, you know how I'm a fan of the short album. You know what I mean? And so I had to pick the Drake for All the Dogs Scary Edition, and I'm just gonna call it Volume 2 because I don't really care about the first Volume 1.
Not that. Not same sentiment, SupaFly.
But if he had took like 2 songs off of Volume 1 and just put Volume 2 out, that would have been the Drake that we've been looking for and waiting on. That Volume 2 is straight through.
Absolutely.
It's straight heat. You know, you can't really say that. And it's better than a lot of stuff. So I put it at number 5.
Absolutely. All right, E. Number 5.
All right, so my number 5, I consider a sleeper. I feel like a lot of people don't maybe not even rock with this artist, but my number 5 is Nick Grant, and it's Sunday's Dinner. Just the project you can listen all the way through. Beats are there, the rhyme is there. He definitely has some shit that I think people need to listen to. And he definitely he's got the catchy rhymes. I believe he even did he had a cover on one of his, and it still flowed pretty well. You know what I mean? Most of the time you do a classic cover, sometimes you can allow it to overpower the song, and he didn't do that. But definitely should check out the Nick Grant Sunday's Dinner if you ain't heard it.
Okay. Man, I just it's just Drake rapping and J. Cole type beats on not really be easy. I mean, this is those songs that Drake dropped on that Scary Hours Part 2 is stuff that he was doing back in the day. Like it's a lot of his B-side stuff. That's exactly what Scary Hours was. It was a lot of his. It's not even commercial based. It's just bars. All right, CB, my bad. Number 5.
This is a band that I wouldn't have had in, and I said band. I wouldn't have had them in a top 5 in probably the last like 20 years, bro. Like it's a long time. But Blink-182 came out with an album this year, man, and like it was dope, bro. It took me back to high school. Like it was one of those things where you heard the growth that they've had just living life, you know. Mark having dealt with cancer, and this was like the return of Tom DeLonge back to the band. Travis Barker produced it. Like it still felt though like all of the albums that they were putting out like in the late 90s, early 2000s, all that stuff. So for me, in terms of, you know, impact on me this year, this joint was number 5.
That's dope. And that's how I knew the list was going to be different. When CB put Blink-182 on there, I was like, this is going to be different.
I'm glad you brought it up, though. I'm going back to listen to it because I was a fan back in the day. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So my number 5, and it's one of those things. I wasn't expecting it to be my number 5. I really wasn't expecting it to be on my list. Then I went back and listened to it over and over and over again. When you're in the gym, you can really focus in on things. I mean, gym is all about, we know about mental health. It's about, you know, just getting out everything that you need to get out and listening to music. So my number 5, Killer Michael. Look, you talk about hip hop, you talk about bars, you talk about just, I mean, I know the Run the Jewels was the number 1 album that year that it came out. Excuse me. But Mike alone, I mean, we talked about Dre having probably one of the verses of the year, but the production on here, bars, I mean, Killer Michael is my number 5. Solid round, fellas. That's a good one. And again, I wasn't expecting Killer Mike to make my top 5, but it crept up on me. Killer Mike and rap, though, I think he showed us his rapping skills. Yeah. I mean, this is grown man hip hop. This is, I guess, how you know this is where I'm phasing into my life now. I don't care about age anymore when it comes to like rappers. They don't age out to me. If you got something good to say, that's what it is. And this CB brought up a good point to me a while back. He said that He's read something somewhere whereas we don't discover the new music the same way we used to when we were younger. Like nowadays, a lot of new music we come across as recommendations, or you gotta listen to this. Like some of the stuff that I listen to, some of the stuff I listen to now is because my brothers or somebody else tells me listen to it. I just don't discover new music like that all the time. So, all right. Round number 4. It starts with me, and then we'll bounce back into SupaFly. So, number 4 for me. Now, we talk about an album that was later in the year, anticipated for me, but necessarily off the first listen wasn't worthy of being number 4. But I got to give you Boss. We only talk about real shit when we're fucked up. And it's not even all rap. Like Boss, it's got different vibes to it. It's a really dope album. We'll talk about it more in just a second, but it's a really dope album. Boss, my number 4. CB.
I like how you plan this out because my number 4 also is Boss. This was a joint, man, that like I was not, no one gets as hyped up for a Dreamville project as, Cole and then maybe Jid, like to me. And then you hyped it up. You were excited about it. You were very excited about it. So I was like, all right, let me buckle down. And I've ended up running through it like a few times. Like it is, you talk about there's different vibes, but it's like a cohesive, solid project. You know what I mean? And I've never really paid a lot of attention to Boss's solo work. Like I've obviously heard a lot of his features and his work on the mixtapes and stuff that they do. But this album really put him on the map for me. Like he does his thing on there.
And to go 3 for 3 for Cole. Like he did 3 on was that off season?
Mm-hmm.
And then Cole gave him 3 on this one. And I mean that's the album we really need. Cole and Boss to run a whole project together. I don't care. I mean, yeah, it'd be dope to see Cole and Kendrick because it'll never happen. I think the closest thing we'll get is Cole and Drake going on tour together and these couple of singles. That's the closest we'll get. But yeah, that's our number 4.
Oh, Anissa, we'll put you on. Boss,
yeah, he was the second sign in the Dreamville. First was Omen, then Boss, and as recently discovered, I would have thought I would have known. Boss is the younger brother of the co-founder of Dreamville, Ibrahim. All right,
it's on me.
Yeah, it's on you, bro.
On me. I don't know. People might fight me for this one, and that's fine. I
will. I'm just so good.
That's fine. It is not even a mistrack. If this album did not have this feature that was on here, it would have been it would have got 100 grade off like for me. But my number 4 is Magic 2. Call it what it is.
Shout out
that 50 Cent that 50 Cent feature was trash. It was just really for what it was, just because like where they're from. Like I get it. It really didn't fit the album.
List.
But I'm not gonna penalize a feature knowing that the person's album that it is, he still bodied his verse. So I can't penalize the whole project just for that one feature. Plus, it was only the one feature. Clearly, Magic 3, Wayne was on there. He did his thing. But I mean, you and I talked about this. We were supposed to do this review on Magic 2. I told you what my 2 top songs that clearly, if we were doing songs of the year, I would have put the Bokeem Woodbine and the Urban Magic Johnson. Like those 2 hands down and again, you want to talk about, who produced it. I mean, it just ran in line. So that's my number 4.
Okay. SupaFly.
All right. So for those who don't know, I'm a father of 3 girls, and this album is not for me, right? But I heard these records and I had to go back and listen to the whole album because I was just like, yo, like this person is the stuff they're saying. I haven't heard anybody else come like that. Pause. Besides, you know, SZA does. It's in that SZA lane, but just a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? All right, so Olivia Rodrigo. The record is. Damn, I'm lost in my own damn list. The record is
Guts.
Guts. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Got a million things on this list, but the Guts record, that joint is like, I first heard this one record called "Bad Idea," right? Question mark. It's got like a up tempo vibe. Like I don't know if y'all remember that one. What was it Kelly Clarkson? Since You've Been Gone, like that real like fast rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Up tempo, and I'm like, oh, this will work with that song. And so I'm thinking about it as a DJ. But then some of the stuff she's saying, I'm like, damn, she's actually like, you know, I never heard somebody say this kind of thing on a record like this. And so I just kept listening, and then, you know, my kids would put me on the other songs or whatever, and I was like, oh, she's pretty dope. So Olivia Rodrigo, Guts, number 4.
I'm going to check that out. Okay. Bounce back to you, Superfly. Number 3.
All right, number 3 here. We got L. Michaels Affair, Black Thought, Glorious Game. Like, as far as like a sonic palette, you know what I mean? It's like very cohesive. Everything you hear, it's just like you're going to put it on and you're going to leave it on from start to finish. It is elite level bars. You know, not too many are better lyricists than Black Thought. You know, it's only a few that you can even put in that conversation. But as far as just like a cohesive like body of work from the hip hop standpoint, this is one of the best for me this year.
Okay. Brother E. Rich, number.
I'm gonna get right to it. I mean, you know, in the interest of time, my number 3 is The Great Escape, Larry June. Listen, the West from SoCal all the way up to Northern Cal. There's a lot of shit that's going on. We just don't get enough. We don't get that love. But anyway, I'm sure that some people will argue this might be their number 1, which again, it is what it is. Arguably, probably the best song, Palisades, California, for me. That Big Sean verse, you know, was kind of like my that whole song was just kind of like really just the theme song for me for this whole year, especially with the crew, because every time we bet on ourselves, it was a hit. So, you know, we did what we did this year. The song kind of went hand in hand. That's my number 3.
Sound like you're from Alabama. That's that name get me exactly. All right, my bro CB.
There are people on this panel. There are people in the chat room that are going to be upset about this choice. And I kind of cheated, but I combined For All the Dogs and Scary Hours into one project, and it's number 3. I'm also, you talk about being a product of your environment. I live with a Drake stan. So this album has been on very loud since it came out. And you got, you know, my favorite verse on there. And my brother loves singing Drake, right? So this is perfect. This is perfect for him. And then they drop the mixtape added on there, and it's just bars. So then the people that want bars Drake, they got that too. Everyone's happy. You know, you can just skip through the however many of the first 34 songs that are on there, you know. But there is a lot of quality on there in my opinion. So this song or this album for me, it's 3.
So it's funny. The people who really liked Scary Hours put just that portion of the project on, and the people who liked the whole project. So it's so funny. I listened to. I made sure I gave it a fair shake. Like I knew Scary Hours was dope. I went back and listened to the For the Dogs. It was okay, but you know. So, anyways, and this is where again I knew the list was going to be different when this album made number 3, and it took out some of the other albums that I knew that I couldn't take this album off. And I've been preaching it all year long. And I told y'all Static Selector was on his game this year. Coded a Friend, To See a Sunset. number 3. I mean, you talk about
this joint all year.
We talk about how we don't discover new music anymore. And I think I literally discovered Coda this year because of the album artwork. I think it was something as simplistic as that, of me just seeing the album artwork. And I was like, yo, let me check this out. And then Static Selector just killed the project. So, and that was To Kill a that was the first one, To Kill a Sunset. And this one's To See a Sunset. But yeah, Coda the Friend, number 3 for me, out of my top 5. All right, so bounces back to me. Number 2. And this is where me and my bro differ. My number 2 is Magic 3. Magic 3 to me, you talk about, now there's nothing wrong with Magic 2-ish, but all the group start to finish, Magic 3 was a great way to wrap up the whole Hit Boy series. And you talk about 2 lanes of projects, from the King's Diseases to the Magics, 2 different sounds that he gave Nas, 2 completely different sounds. But the way they finished out this body of work, or the series of work with Magic 3, to me, was the stronger record. And you knew that Coda was gonna make a list. It was a good album. It really is. But now, Magic 3, number 2 for me. CB, number 2. You put us on hold. You put us on mute. So yeah, Coda the Friend. Check it out. Look, if y'all haven't listened to Coda the Friend, that's all I'm gonna say. It made it's top 3 for a reason. And when you see the albums that didn't make the rest of the list, it's only one album left. You just know. But CB, I can go ahead and you lost audio. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're back.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. I like to think of myself as an honorary member of the West Coast. My number 2 is Larry June and Cardo, The Night Shift. A later entry, and there's going to be some recency bias on my list, like there really is, but this album came out, and really just the way that Cardo produces songs, that shit just resonates with me. And it still goes perfect. Him and Larry June have just a really good chemistry when they're making music and putting projects down. So this joint for me, there's a bunch of bangers on here, and it's funny because I typically only like listening for like bars on bars on bars, and Larry doesn't do that. It's like a vibe. But I like to think of, you hear some of the joints on the other project, and then you got like the 2 Chainz feature on this joint. Like I just thought they did a great job. So for me, with how much I've listened to it since it came out, it had to be high on the list in number 2.
That Touchdown joint with can't think of his name right now, but that song is dope.
Mm-hmm.
All right, E Rich, number 2.
Call it what you want. Fight me, it don't matter. West Side Gun, and Then You Pray for Me. Hands down. Like the ability to rap to the beat the way, or no beat, and for it to be the way the songs are actually put together. I think there was a little anticipation for this. I think a lot of people sleep on this album. I don't know what they look for when they want to hear a West Side album. But as far as features, it was good. Beats was good. The rhyme was good. Like you said, Jid had a crazy verse just to start off. It was like the second song on the album, and it allowed itself to kind of keep going down that way. When it first dropped, I played it at the gym. I played it in the car. It meets all the requirements that you can play this thing the whole way through, and there's no skip.
All right. Yeah. All right, SupaFly.
Yeah, my again, like keeping on that same theme is like cohesive sound. Like for me, like a good album generally is produced by like one producer ideally and can give you that sound. And I think this particular match of Kaytranada and Amine, like is
Crazy. It's crazy.
like, it's just something I didn't expect. But at the same time, it's just like, yo, it goes so well. Then they got like Freddie Gibbs on there. Y'all know how I feel about Freddie. You got Snoop on there too. Not too many features. And then my favorite thing, 11 tracks. You know what I'm saying? Keep it concise.
Short. And the album is short, even with 11 tracks. Like it's shorter than 11 tracks.
And it got club records on it, and it got records that you can just vibe out to. Strong effort by Kaytranada. Like it's a dope album.
Yeah, dope. Our money was good, bro. All right, so real quick before we even get to the number ones, let's run through. We had a couple folks that pitched in their lists that responded. Let me pull up all the lists. All right, so let's start with this list. All right, so number 5, we'll go with 5. Kaliukis, Red Moon and Venus. Number 6. Oh, wait a minute. Is that right? Yeah, Larry June. I'm sorry. Number 4, Larry June. The numbers are wrong on here. I'm reading them from here. I didn't adjust the numbers. Larry June is number 4. I'm sorry. Cleo Soul, Heaven. Number 3. Number 2, Talib Kweli, Liberation 2. And then number 1 was a joint effort at Nas, Magic 2 and 3. So shout out to Britt Sheree for that. All right, for this one, let me find the list. Hold on 1 second. All right, number 5, Alex Isley and Terrace Martin, I Left My Heart in Madeira. Number 4,
That's a dope record.
Victoria Monet, Jaguar 2. Number 3, Music Soul Child, Victims and Villains. 2, Kenyon Dixon, The R&B You Love. And number 1, BJ the Chicago Kid, Gravy. All dope records. That was submitted by With Love R&B. That was Risa. All right, our boy, Mr. Sean Xavier. Sean Xavier said the only thing that mattered was the number 1 album, and that was Michael by Killer Mike. Everything else can fall where they do. So you had Janelle Monáe. Hold on, wait a minute. I had the list. You had Janelle Monáe's album. Then you had West Side. And then You Pray For Me. You had the Collie Grove album. And then you had Diddy's Love album. Now, the thing is, I just listened to the Diddy album today. So I was supposed to listen to it earlier, but then the controversy started happening. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to even listen to it. So today I decided to listen to it. It's actually a really good album, but not good enough to knock out my number 1 spot. Let me see. What did Monterey? Gotta run. Enjoy it. Appreciate you, Monterey. Thank you for chiming in. Tell everybody, say what's up. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Okay. And shout out to Risa, Britt, and Sean Xavier for submitting their lists for the top 5. But here we go, fellas. Let's close this out. Let's go ahead. Let's do what we got to do. These are the number 1 albums that you have chosen of the year. SupaFly, your number 1 record of the year.
So originally I didn't have this on my list, but then Kaleo and I spoke about it because technically it did come out in 2022.
3.
But
2020,
2022. Yeah. However, so I told y'all, I'm a father of 3 daughters. There's a torch that's been passed from Mary J to Beyonce to Rihanna, and now this person has the torch speaking for a generation of women. But then also, I think it's a lot of dudes out there that rock with this album too.
For sure.
The only thing that stops this record from being an all-time classic is it's got 22 songs on it. If we got that down to a 10, 11, it would have been like the R&B Chronic for real. And that is SZA, SOS.
Yeah.
Like
to be fair, it did came out after we did our show last year. It was like at the very tail end of the year.
I felt like we talked about it a little bit, but we,
yeah.
you know what I mean. We really couldn't have an opinion on it yet because it was just too new.
Fresh. It
But
was-
like, you can't, like I already said, Snooze was like one of the best records of the year. She's rhyming over, intro from that Drake had, you know what I'm saying, and putting her own spin on it. Like, who else is what? Any other women artists?
That Kill
Artist
Bill,
period doing this kind of stuff.
That Kill Bill record was pretty big this year.
Kill Bill, like as a DJ, Joe, when I play Kill Bill for a middle school crowd, it turns into like the Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit video. For real. Like you know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, yo. This she speaks for that generation. Was it Alpha or whatever it is? This is the voice of the future, y'all. So,
and if you listen to like her not even her rhyming patterns or her vocal patterns on Kill Bill, is ridiculous. Yeah. So, and that's a dope album. Okay, so yeah, I'm not mad at that number one album for you, SupaFly. SupaFly's out here in the streets, so he's got his ear to the streets. He knows what's hot in these streets.
He knows the top 5 hottest rappers of all time.
Of all time,
Dylan.
Right.
That's been on fire. So listen, my number one. Me and my bro debated this. We didn't debate it. We debated whether or not we block greatness from happening because we get in the way of it. And what I say by that is because my number one album is The Night Shift.
Kendall. My bad, Kendall.
And here's 2 albums in 1 year. It's been a while since we've seen somebody actually put projects out the same year, and it actually both projects really be about something, and it's not just on some like, oh, there was like 4 tracks on this one, but then that one was the dope album. Like both these albums the whole way through, like, and that's what it is. This one just resonated with me a little bit more than The Great Escape, but that's not to say that wasn't it. My 1, 2, and 3 literally I literally have gone back and forth and have traded 1 through 3 over the last week and a half, 2 weeks actually. But this one right here, I think, is going to go down as one of the, as far as 2023, Larry June and the 2 projects that he put out might be talked about in the classic run of somebody dropping two albums that were definitely there was nothing half stepping about it. And at the end of the day, it's good for the West because I think it's an automatic that it's SoCal, Southern California that usually kind of holds the torch, if you will. The Bay got something to say. Kimba and the rest of the cats that are up there that are doing their thing. So for Larry June to still hold his position and do what he's doing,
yeah,
here we go.
Jordan Howard touchdown. That's what it was. Jordan Howard. That track with Jordan Howard. All right, CB. Your number one record.
I mean, this might just be Larry's show. Because for me, number one is The Great Escape. The way that I was talking to Kaleo about this, maybe it was last week, maybe it was prior to that, but like we're talking about, there are different vibes, right? And actually how the production is done on Night Shift, like those are normally the joints that you would hear me rocking all the time in the gym, whatever. And The Great Escape has a completely different feel to it, but the fact that I've just been running that from front to back the entire time it's been out this year, that's really what made me give it the nod. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about this album a decent amount tonight. Larry did his thing this year. Both of his albums were top 5, and if you're talking to me, they were they were top 3 and they weren't 3. So Larry June, The Great Escape.
Wow. Okay. All right. So before we get to my number one, let me give you the prerequisite here. Yeah, we haven't seen Larry June. We haven't seen 2 albums in 1 year of quality, in my opinion, since X dropped those 2 projects in 1 year. That's probably the last time we've seen something
Besides Nas?
Oh, okay. More recent. You're right. Okay, Nas did it. You're right. Nas did it twice. All right, so that takes away my point. But look, yeah, Larry dropped two. And I told the fellas, look, I don't want to. This is my number one. Great Escape is my number one as well. Gasms? No, it's not gonna be Gasms. No, my number one project is Larry's June as well, The Great Escape. So let me tell you, me and my homies got together, me and the boys, and we went and saw Larry June at the Fillmore. We saw him do this project live, which was dope. But both albums were worthy of top 5. I just had to choose which one I needed there more because I wanted to make room for some other dope. I listened to 40 albums this year, and not putting Larry's second one in the top 5 doesn't mean that it wasn't of quality. It just means I had to pick one that resonated with me more. And we talk about production. Alchemist, start to finish, told a story with Larry June from beginning to end. 89 Earthquake was probably my most played track by Larry this year. And again, coming from a producer's ear, Alchemist had it for me with this project, and he gave Larry a different sound. If you go through all the other Larry's projects, like the Harry Fraud was a different one, but Cardo's was a different. But if you put Larry with Alchemist, just gave him a different sound. So that is my number one as well, The Great Escape. And I knew, at this certain point, it was obvious what number one was. Once you didn't see, once we got to 2 and Nas was there, it wasn't no West Side. And let me tell you why I didn't pick West Side. Me and E been debating back and forth why I didn't pick West Side. Because everything that I picked this year, start to finish, had to grab me sonically, lyrically, production, all that. They had to grab, and West Side started off so amazing, but then somewhere in the middle, it switched to a mixtape. Like, it completely shifted for me. And we started getting DJ drama call outs, and it was just different. The sound changed, didn't kind of try to bring it back. So it just sounded like he put a bunch of stuff together and called it an album. Just didn't sound sonically cohesive. So, but yeah, that's that. That is an hour and 14 minutes worth of a show.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good. I enjoyed the list. Fellas, y'all did for SupaFly to jump in and not really have had anything in mind what he was going to do, and still find top 10 songs, 5 honorable mentions, and pull out 5 albums. It's dope. I guess there's one more thing to do before we get out of here. All right, look, I forgot song of the year. I did have a song of the year I wanted to talk about real quick. It's SupaFly. You haven't been around for a while, so if I had to pick a song of the year,
I feel the rain. It's raining all over me. I'm moist. Call and response, I said I'm moist. Good God, I'm moist. Yes, I am. Rain all over me. I'm saturated. I'm saturated. I'm saturated. Yes, I am. I'm saturated. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm jammed. I'm jammed. I'm jammed. I'm jammed. Lord, I'm damned. I'm damned. Oh Lord, I'm damned. I'm even.
That probably is song of the year, though.
Don't get no better than that. All right. So, what better way to close out the year than with the shoe and tell? All these graphics, shoe and tell right there, bro. I hope y'all like that. I hope y'all appreciate that. But look, here we go. Shoe and tell. So what I want to talk about. Last night, somebody told me I worked for Soul Links, and which I don't, but I work for the homies. I work for the sneakerhead buddies, and just try to let us all win this year, or any chance that I get. So let's talk about Soul Links win, pick up a pair of shoes, or a pair of shoes, or brand of shoes, not brand, but a pair or model of shoes that I never owned until I seen them go on sale for Finish Line, and that is the Crazy 8. Shockingly, I never owned a pair of Crazy 8s ever, but when I seen them for the price, they were like $60 through the Soul Links discount, and I was like, yep, gotta have them for the culture. Wore them today. Dope shoe, Crazy 8s. Yeah, so Soul Links win for the year. We got CB.
So last show of the year, got to close out strong, especially from the shoe and tell standpoint. So I had gone on a little bit of a grail spree a few months back, and these joints, I wasn't even necessarily looking for them, because you don't find them in a price that is even really attainable. Because these came out in 2009. So these are the Pata 5th anniversary denim Air Max 1s.
Jesus, CB.
And I mean, dude, are you serious?
Wow.
So yeah, like this is a grail. These are joints that I've only ever seen like in pictures, you know what I mean? And my Instagram is full of just Air Max 1 like enthusiast accounts. Me and E Rich just go back and forth every day, just sending new shit that's coming out, and you'll see these on a lot of people's like favorite Air Max list of all time, things like that. And Pata, they just don't miss, bro. So closing out the year strong, 5th anniversary denim joints.
Okay. All right.
I'm not about to show no new shit, because we're about to be on break. Cleo definitely signed the PTO order for both me and CB. So after last night, I started putting shit up because it's just a mess in this room. It's shoes every fucking where. But if we gonna close out the year, with what I consider probably my two top. If you saw the show yesterday, it's definitely the Reverse Grinches, and then the Alma Air 5s. I'm gonna, this one right here, definitely, this is it for me. Like this is the one. I'm not one for pictures, but this might have to get a little photo shoot. You dig? When that happens. So, what did Elijah do?
The shoe phone.
Right.
Yeah, the shoe. What? No Pumas?
Sorry, Sean.
We talked about Puma last night, Sean. Last night, our money number 5 was the Puma Rock Nation shoe. So yeah, Puma's got some love last night. It's a dope shoe. SupaFly, you got anything?
I do have something, and I'm not sure if y'all already talked about this joint yet, but I'm gonna break this out. I think it's a beautiful shoe. Came out fairly recently, I think like maybe the end of October or so. But we got the where we at here? The 991 V2 made in England,
Cozy
New Balance joints with the beautiful shoestrings, 3M action. Like this is like for me like one of the materials wise and just like construction, one of the I think the best shoes of the year. So
about New Balance last night, having a dope year.
Very reminiscent of the it's not the same colorway as like the old 1500s, but the way that the shoe is constructed and the way it feels makes me think about like that. Oh, you remember when the 1500s was on the top shelf and you just was like, I can't afford those. But it's a dope shoe.
It's all about comfortability after a certain age, bro. That's what Carter was preaching last night, and it makes sense. So look, we appreciate everybody for watching. Before we go, we got just a couple closing comments because this is the last show of the year. So I just want to express my gratitude to everyone that chimed into a show this year, no matter how many you were able to catch, how long you're able to stay. That means a lot for us. Just to get the response in the chat, to have people interactive, just to show up, just show support. I can talk about support all day long. Y'all know how I feel about support and where it should come from. But we'll take support anywhere we can get it. But I appreciate you all for everything you've done, from the amp streets where I met most of you, to the station head streets where we continue these friendships. Happy early birthday, Anissa. Look at you. Appreciate you. Yes. That birthday will happen while we are on break. Yeah, it's happening one way or another. And I've been telling myself I'm a certain age all year long, just so I'm ready for it when January 1st hits. But that's all I got as far as the people. But then you fellas right here, SupaFly for you for sure, man. Again, the gratitude is always there for you giving CB and I your home to start this project, this brainchild that we had, and for you to pitch in and help run with it for as long as you did. And then just for your friendship, bro, man. Like, I can pick up the phone and call SupaFly whenever I need to, and we can just talk music. We can talk. I mean, SupaFly has one of the dopest blend mix albums out right now that you can find. I think you just dropped a new one too, right, SupaFly?
Yep, definitely did.
You plugged in a second. I haven't listened to that one yet, but the first one, we talk about DJs, we talk about music, and we talk about sampling, and the way he put it all together is dope. But yeah, me and SupaFly have been friends we're in the double digits now as far as this friendship. And look, that's like my brother. I love him. E Rich, like my brother. You know how long we go back. I love you too, bro. CB, the last one to join the crew. But look, man, it's been all love ever since. What we have built, and I'm getting to our money, Be Easy and Cardo. But what we have built right here, gentlemen, the four of us, as far as the brainchild, or just as far as the beginning stages of all this, means a lot to me. And the success that we are going to have next year. The manifestation is real. And let's get to our money. Let's get to Be Easy. Let's get to Cardo. Because those are also our partners in crime. When we do Soul Tales, and when we had to run on Amp Streets that we did, those fellas pitched in. And then that goes to Bar Drinks and Entrees, Kenny, and Jay Ruffin as well. Jay Ruffin as well. Look, all those fellas stepped up when we had the Amp run. Those are our podcast brothers. We just do your circle. You're only as strong as your circle.
Speaking
of,
of,
I'm talking about you now, man. You're only as strong as your circle, and we got a dope ass circle, and we got a lot of stuff that we need to accomplish next year. That we should accomplish. We got a lot of stamp and validity checks. We were this year, so we know next year how we got to run with it. That's all I got to say. Anybody else need to say anything before we part ways for a little bit?
Great year, fellas. And, all we're doing is getting better every year, right? So 2024 is going to be that much better. Just be on the lookout, man. Just be on the lookout.
And we dropped a song this year. Hit and run. Like, we dropped a song this year.
Went to the laundromat and everything.
There you go. E.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we ain't gonna take up too much time, but it was good to connect with everybody when I came out to the East Coast.
Appreciate you, Kendall.
And just the fellowship, like I said, it's a blessing to see this type of unity. You know what I'm saying, with all the shit that's going on. And like it or not, we talked about how this serves well for people's mental. You dig? In a space where there's a lot of shit, whether it's work, personal shit. So we do this, not only for us, but for those of you who really, kind of need that getaway. And I salute everybody who definitely came out to the with the Mob Ties dinner, which is a wild name for it. You dig? But listen, it was a good time. I didn't get a chance to, you know what I'm saying, to link up with SupaFly, but definitely I'll be out on that side of town again. Got some things cooking up, trying to get some stuff done. And like you said, we're building. Be on the lookout for that merch because your boy's about to go crazy. And we definitely gonna have this We Are Something Else merch. Shout out to PJ. And that's what we're gonna do.
SupaFly, where can we find these mixtapes? Any parting words before we dip?
Yeah, for sure, man. Check out my Blendinis on Mixcloud. It's a full mix, like an hour, 20 minutes. I did like 40 plus different blends I've been working on all year. And that's a separate the mixtape than the one I did earlier this year, where it was an all go-go blend, where I took go-go music, and put either the actual cover that the band was covering on the record or whatnot. Check both of those out on Mixcloud. I'm doing like a bunch of these little videos also to promote the latest Blendinis. I'm just taking videos from the song that maybe like underneath the vocals and mixing them all together. So it's a nice little fun project and creative thing, man. But definitely want to say, man, I'm super proud of y'all, man, and what you've been able to do. I see like E and Sean up in the chat room. Y'all were here in the dojo getting it in too, man. So I appreciate y'all, for like, as E-Rich talked about, the unity, man, and sticking together and supporting each other, man. So I definitely appreciate y'all. IG is SupaFly_TNT. And you can find everything under there. Just Google it. It's up there and you'll find it. Lastly, y'all say like real quick, man, I know you got the big, 4-0 coming up. I remember DJing the 3-0 party, you know what I mean? So that's how far back we go. And I can still vividly remember like what the party was like, man. We had a ball out there.
E-Rich was at the party. That was the 80s too. That was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll send you all the info, whatever's gonna happen, how we're gonna celebrate this. Couple more things I gotta say before we dip out.
Drinks. I still remember that fool had me making drinks for the party. That's why everybody was leaning half past noon after I was done.
I might post pictures from that. But so shout out to Sean. I didn't forget Sean. So Sean has an album dropping hopefully at midnight. It drops at midnight. He says tomorrow. I believe him. Third floor. Shout out to Sean, but also for his friendship. He gave us the studio to record Hit and Run at. And he's been ever since.
Great night.
Yeah, great night. Sean led the way on AMP. He's been down ever since I met him. Dope brother, dope ideas, dope producer, dope podcast. Check out the Hot Seat Podcast on all platforms. Go to IG, the Hot Seat Podcast, and all the links are right there. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is, if this album is on Spotify tomorrow, so tomorrow do a show, the Abstract, 12:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna throw some of those tracks into the mix for tomorrow's Abstract. And that's what we're gonna do. Shout out to again all the supporters. Again, we appreciate you. Couldn't do this without you. 2024 is gonna be an amazing year, but these next couple of weeks are gonna be amazing as we take a break. As a quick preview for next year, you got Smoke and Spill returning, which is the movie and music review podcast. You got Live from the Cheap Seats returning on visuals next year, not just audio. And then a slew of other things that we've been working on behind the scenes outside the merch. But only one way to end this. Let me find the graphic just so y'all know. Hold on, here we go. Boom.
Follow us on YouTube at WRSC Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe.